Peace. Good morning, everybody. I know you have a busy day, so I was instructed to be, quote, short and uplifting, unquote. And I'm like, obviously you've heard me before, that you have to give me those instructions. But I wrote this for you. Today I am giving you a burden from my heart. I am here to talk about why we need the arts, but I can't start without telling it to you truthfully. I could stand here and say something neutrally about how libraries and festivals are good for the community or how it's important to outreach to youth. And all of those things are the truth, but the reality to them is often less than soothing. My duty as a poet laureate is to speak more than platitudes. We don't need poetry because it's cute. And we don't even need poetry because it always makes us feel good. We need poetry because it makes us more human. Because it transforms our attitudes about each other in profound ways. And poetry is worth our gratitude because we are surrounded by grace, but what poetry asks us to do can be difficult, because it forces us to look at ourselves and be critical. Poetry is not just lyrical. I have seen poetry bear physical fruit. And poetry is not a miracle worker, but it demands of us to not remain ambivalent. There is no equivalent to voices becoming visible. There is no adjective adequate to what poetry can give. Poetry is radical, which means getting down to the root. And yes, it can be magical too, because it gives us the power to change. And I don't mean in easy ways. I am talking about reading pages of poems sent from inside prisons that challenge us to heal and forgive. I am talking about people who need poetry to live. I am talking about people with scars on their wrists who don't just need poetry to uplift, they need poetry to exist. I am talking about people who need poetry for their sanity. There are so many examples I have actually seen in reality. I have witnessed a young man reading through the dictionary in court because I told him about Malcolm X writing letters. And I am not asking you to judge or not. I am telling you only that poetry gives us a guideline to imagine how we can be better. Poetry gives us a lifeline to each other. I call all poets my sisters and brothers because once we have touched someone's soul with words, how can we not see their humanity? I am not asking us to change the planet. What I am trying to express is how poetry changes something fundamental about how we connect. Poetry is not a talent. It is a necessity. Such a blessing it has been to me, but I have also carried so many people's hurt. And I think if only those I have seen transformed found poetry first. And I know it is not naive to believe that when we put pens in hands, it works. I have seen people succeed in turning their lives around only through expression. And I'm not saying that we can solve all our problems by reading. I am saying that poetry teaches us lessons about how to see each other with compassion. I'm telling you, I've seen it happen within my own feeling. I've been called a bleeding heart, but that is because I have seen so much art that was written in heart's blood. Sometimes I have seen such suffering, my tears come spilling in a flood, and I have been called angry or militant, but it's because I have seen too many people's pain to be indifferent. You see, I have learned that the job of a poet laureate is not defined by what we speak, but how we listen. And some may be offended by the strength of my positions, but yes, I think that poetry is a mission because I have seen mine shift. And I have seen so much beauty that I could hardly describe to you the resilience that exists all around us. And I wish so many of those words could be with us here in council. I could list for you the many stories I have encountered, some from people many would not consider who have shared with me their brilliance from conditions most would think insurmountable. How many people who have searched me out because they have no other sounding board to feel empowered. People who have been told they do not count. Out there are so many words waiting to be showered upon us, begging for significance, and I believe it makes a difference. So I am asking, no, I am insisting only that we dignify their words because I have seen poetry give meaning to existence. Thank you.